Meeting in March 1958, he told Nkrumah that the best way to get the scheme started again would be to involve American industry.
The Kaiser Aluminum Hour.
Eisenhower contacted Edgar Kaiser. He was head of one of the largest aluminium corporations in the world.
Kaiser Aluminum, the bright star of metal.
Kaiser was based in Oakland, California. It had mines and smelting plants throughout the world. It promoted aluminium as the shining, lightweight metal of the future.
Presenting aluminum, in a demonstration of those remarkable properties that have made it the favorite of millions. Aluminum is famed for its lightness.
At Eisenhower's request, Edgar Kaiser flew from California to meet Nkrumah in New York.
We were staying at the Waldorf Towers, and Edgar came in, and he and Nkrumah stood and looked at each other, and some kind of magnetic quality passed between them. It was quite remarkable. They took to each other at once. And I doubt if that electricity ever evaporated throughout their experience, although they had many set twos in one way or another.
Today, Ghana is a land of the future. Accra's international airport serves the major airlines.
At the end of 1958, a team of Kaiser executives and engineers flew to Accra to look at the plans for the scheme.
And at the end of the journey, a modern city.
Nkrumah offered the Kaiser team a deal. If they agreed to build an aluminium smelter in Ghana, then his government would be able to raise the money for the dam. In return, the dam would supply the large quantities of electricity needed by the plant. The rest would go to power the future industries of the new Ghana. To the Kaiser team, Ghana seemed an attractive prospect.
It was wealthy. I think they had $400 million in the bank. Very highly educated. Every driver was reading the newspaper. I mean, they were very literate people, and it was as good a place to try in Africa as you could go to.
They were aggressive. There was one young lawyer who impressed me. We became great friends, Ron Sullivan. He was very aggressive, and they were. Later on got to understand what they were doing. That was their nature. Unlike the British, who were very gentlemanly, the Americans were straight to the point and no frills or wrapping up. They call a spade and a shovel.
They wanted the dam. And we were the means to get it because we were the way that the dam was being financed.
It had always been assumed by the Ghanaians that, as with the British scheme, the smelter would use the vast reserves of their own bauxite and so create an important new industry. But in the middle of the negotiations, the Kaiser team made it clear they had no intention of using Ghana's bauxite for the time being. Instead, they would import the raw materials needed by the smelter from America. The decision shocked the Ghanaian negotiating team.
They might have been disappointed, but you have to realize that wasn't that high grade of bauxite. It was high 30s or low 40s, and the bauxite, for example, over in Guinea was 55%. Makes a lot of difference in cost. We just
Welcome back from that interesting documentary. And CRTV's Nkrumah at 101 is still on course. I'm here to treat you with certain inciting information about OSAGYEFO, Dr. KWAME NKRUMAH. He is my personal mentor. This man's words echo so much energy in my system, and it empowers me to take a big stand that today I can pride myself with. I am a proud Pan-African. Now look at all that they had to go through just for the sake of building a dam. The dam that today that we are all benefiting from. We had our own folks who said that in the immediate it wasn't proper, so they will not vote for it to be built. supported by the British government. The intention of the British government to build a dam started somewhere in 1920, and Nkrumah empowered that initiative to see it happen in the 1960s. So look at it. If they really wanted to build a dam, they could have built it a long time. But this man called us a visionary, a man who had a vision, who saw Ghana beyond 50 years of the independence, decided to fight for the Akosombo Dam. Today, we are all living testimonies of the Akosombo Dam. This morning, you are watching me courtesy Akosombo Dam, and it was something the world was surprised about. So I entreat you, as a young person, buy into the vision of OSAGYEFO Dr. KWAME NKRUMAH, his ways of doing things, how he mustered courage to bring about change. His focus was always about the late future, not the immediate. He was able to solve problems that we are having today when it was in the 50s and 60s. That is the man we call OSAGYEFO. No wonder he is called OSAGYEFO. He is indeed a great man that this country must revere and celebrate. I believe that you are still glued to your set. I will still encourage you to join us via our text line 0204 30 30 33. If you are sending it beyond the borders and the corridors of Ghana, which I know my brothers in Nigeria, Senegal, some part of Egypt, southern part of South Africa, even some part of Middle East and part of Europe, I believe that you are watching. Let me receive your text message and I'll read them. Stick and stay, and let's take the next documentary on OSAGYEFO Dr. KWAME NKRUMAH.
It just wasn't possible at that time.
This seemed to be totally wrong to Nkrumah. He was intensely upset. He could never believe that Ghana's bauxite couldn't be converted by a series of processes into pots and pans and roofing sheets.
What the Kaiser executives didn't tell the Ghanaians was that there was another reason why they didn't want to use the local bauxite.
We were greatly concerned that if we located within Ghana all of the bauxite and power necessary to have an integrated aluminum operation, that someday our project, if it were profitable, might be nationalized by the government and taken away from us.
The Kaiser team refused to change their minds. They knew as well as Nkrumah did that without them there would be no dam. At the end of 1959, Nkrumah told his team to agree to Kaiser's terms. Millions of dollars worth of Ghanaian bauxite would remain in the ground. But with Kaiser's letter of intent in his pocket, Nkrumah knew he could now set about raising the money to build the dam. He approached the World Bank. It had been set up at the end of the war to provide loans to rebuild Europe, but now it had turned its attention to the Third World. He asked the bank for £30 million. It was the largest loan ever requested. Yet the bank's economists believed, as Nkrumah did, that electricity was the key to industrial development in the Third World.
We envisage the development of this power resource as fundamental to Ghanaian economic development. The provision of power, electric power to Ghana, was an immense economic benefit to the country, was a sine qua non of economic development in the country. So let's accept that the economic benefits for power to Ghana were tremendous.
The belief that science and technology applied on a grand scale would somehow inevitably propel a third world country into the industrial age was the prevailing wisdom of the time. It was called the theory of takeoff. It gripped the imagination of politicians and economists both in the West and in the Third World. In June 1960, the World Bank approved the scheme in principle, but its report had important reservations. The most serious concerned the price Kaiser paid Ghana for electricity. The World Bank made it clear that if Nkrumah was to get the benefits he expected from the dam, he must negotiate a certain minimum rate for the power. If he didn't, Ghana might find it difficult to take off.
Our report essentially was saying to Ghana, this project will succeed and we're prepared to make a loan on it, and the loan can be paid out if the power price is right. This was absolutely the key to the negotiations.
As a conductor of electricity, it's hard to beat.
But Kaiser needed a low rate if the smelter was to be profitable. A second round of negotiations